I'm Megan Bennett.
I'm Lesley Meyer.
And this is GenX Women Are Sick of This Shit.
Hi, Megan.
Hi, Lesley.
Welcome back to the couch.
Hey, it's good to be back on the couch.
And it's not the same as the couch in my office.
Yes.
Which is a therapy
use a therapist.
a therapist.
Therapist.
And that's a different kind of couch.
Although this is pretty therapeutic.
This is therapeutic.
It is.
I think that other people also think it's therapeutic.
I hope so. I hope they find that this is both funny and therapeutic. And that, you know, listening to us scream into the void helps them.
Yes.
When they're screaming into the void.
We're all screaming into the void. So we were saying that there's going to be a lot of paper shuffling today.
There is a lot of paper shuffling. There's probably some keyboards being clicked.
Why is that?
We are going to do a fun episode today where we are going to dive into some of the groovy, can I say groovy? Radical,
groovy.
Some of the 5 minutes of fame that we have been getting from some of the folks who are listening to the pod and some of the people in the group.
What's 5 minutes of fame?
5 minutes of fame are our little hot moments that we remember from our past where we were greeted or meeted with celebs or cool shit we did, like, I don't know, Hands Across America, right?
Yes.
That would sort of count.
Did you do that?
No.
What was that for? Why did we put our hands across America?
That is a real... Why the fuck did we do that? I have no idea.
Know.
I can't remember. I remember it being a big damn deal, but I don't remember why.
That part sticks in your brain.
Yeah, it was big. It was big,
America.
But I don't remember what the cause was. Was that like? I mean, there were a lot of things that happened where we were trying to raise money for, you know, hunger and stuff like that. Was that?
I think that sounds real.
It sounds real. I just don't know why we would hold hands with people across America.
You're a Gen expert right now. That's
totally making this shit up. I don't know.
So was it literally people standing where we supposed to
Yeah, it was supposed to be coast to coast.
Okay, yeah. This makes sense. I can see a map in my brain. There's a graphic.
Yeah.
That's
I like the hand motions. There's hand motions going along with this.
I'm sorry, yes. I'm drawing this graph.
Yeah, but I think you think they had local people who were... This is not at all what this podcast was supposed to be about.
But now we're here.
Now I got to know. So there were local people who were creating or were supposed to coordinate their Hands Across America thing, right? And they were supposed to hold it. Was it one day? Was it multiple days?
It's a hand coordinator.
Producer Tim.
Yes.
Please tell us.
Okay.
Save us from ourselves.
What the hell is Hands Across America?
I will attempt to throw a ladder down here for you.
We'll hold hands.
Thank God. We're going to hold hands here while you do this.
Hands Across America was a public fundraising event held on Sunday, May 25th, 1986, Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, wow.
It was one day thing.
There you go.
13.
Which attempted to create a continuous human chain of people holding hands across the contiguous United States. About 5.5 million people participated. The chain was broken in many places, particularly in the southwestern desert.
Well, you'll have that. My golly.
I'm reaching. I'm stretching.
So it says that participants were encouraged to donate $10 to be in an assigned place in the line. Proceeds were donated to local charities to fight hunger, homelessness, and help those in poverty.
I feel like that was an opportunity for somebody to get really fucking rich. Like, I'm going to coordinate my Hands Across America.
Yeah, right.
Give me
we should do a deep dive. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hands Across America scams.
Scammy across America.
I wonder if that...
Scam across America.
Scam across America. Probably. I mean, McDonald's had that.
The charity that organized it also helped in the production of We Are the World.
Okay.
So.
All right. So probably not that scammy.
No, they probably were legit. So then what do you imagine it was like to be like the person where the chain ended or began.
Just standing there hanging there with your one arm,
You're
just
just
hanging,
like,
hanging limp.
Sorry, y'all. Nobody else
Nobody showed
is
up.
here. Like you were either the beginning or the end.
I'm actually more concerned about the fact that this would have been pre hand sanitizer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, we can't do that now. You can't do Hands Across America. You get all germy.
So germy. So I don't know what we're here for another reason though.
We are.
Because if you coordinated Hands Across America, you had probably a 5 minutes of fame experience.
Yeah.
Because that was a big deal. Because clearly we remember this.
Well, at least some of it. We
Kind of.
remember like it happening, but not
Yes.
why. Yeah. Yeah. So that would be a 5 minutes of fame.
Many
like you
of
were
our
the local
stories.
coordinator of your Hands Across America
This is a
station.
great example.
Yeah.
Whew, I'm tired already.
Okay, so 5 minutes of fame. We're going to read some of the 5 minutes of fame that have been submitted, and
Yes.
we are going to listen to some when people called in
Yes.
on our 1-888 Gen X Pod hotline,
The bat phone.
the bat phone hotline.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
And before we do that, we should say some promotional stuff. I
Okay.
mean, there's a promotional thing that happens before we start
But we're gonna-
talking.
But go for it.
But this is a little bit of like, this would be like housekeeping. Yeah, this is our bullshit housekeeping for today. There was a little notice in the Facebook group the other day. They were like, wait, is the name different?
Oh, yeah. We did change the name slightly. To
By
the
one
Facebook
word.
group, by one word. So it used to be Gen X Women are sick of your shit. We have changed it to Gen X Women are sick of this shit. And for the same reason that we call this podcast Gen X Women are sick of this shit, it is less accusatory.
Agreed.
It is less finger pointing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so it's a very slight change that people may not have noticed.
And shit can be bigger than just like your shit. Like it's the whole world's shit.
It's a lot of
It's
shit.
all of the things. So that's true.
Yeah.
And we have been doing some other cool things off Facebook in our sort of like Patreon like club group space.
Yes.
That we launched just a couple weeks ago.
Yep. We started Love You Like a Sis, which is our nostalgic little nod back to how people used to sign notes in high school. Oh, some people, not everybody, but some people used to sign notes, you know, Love You Like a Sis, when they would pass a note to a friend in the hallway. So we started a little space off of Facebook on Mighty Networks that allows people, women only, to jump in, have more detailed conversations, meet people, do more meetups, do book clubs, talk about things in more detail than they ever could on Facebook. And it's pretty freaking cool. I really like it. There's some really fun people in there.
Yep. It's been fun to participate and just to kind of meet people and have them help us structure the space. We had an idea of what things would look like and had done a lot of work in advance, but it's growing and expanding, and I've met lots of people. There are people in there from Canada and Australia and all over the US. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
And it's not, we're trying to keep it, we don't want it to be an expense, like a expensive thing for people to join.
Yes.
There is a cost to it. It's $10 a month. And the reason that we do that is it's $10 a month right now. It may go up in the future. I don't know. But if people lock in at $10 a month, they're there forever.
They get $10 forever.
But the reason we have to do that is we are putting a lot of time and energy into other things like the podcast, like meetups that we're doing, like the opportunity to hear from different experts on different topics like finance or caring for our aging parents or menopause or all these things that we have in the works and planned. And that takes time and energy. And that's why that has a cost to it. It also helps us support all the time and energy that we put into that Facebook group to not have it just turn into, I don't know, like Lord of the Flies.
Yeah. just one step to the left. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. From Lord of the... We try not to be full Lord of the Flies.
Oh, God.
In
No, that would be awful.
And everybody's time is like really valuable. I mean, our mod's time, our time, there's a cost. So
yep,
that's sort of what's going on there.
Yep. And it helps us keep it nice and tidy and managed. And that's I think that's what people really want, is the opportunity to have a space that doesn't suck.
This space sucks slightly less.
Yeah.
We try to make it not suck. And there is a cool newsletter that people can sign up for if they want to get information about all the things that we're doing.
Yes, and they can subscribe to that at genxwomenpod.com, which is our website.
Which is awesome. And the Lilas Social Club is genxwomen.club. We'll put all this stuff up in the show notes too. Mm-hmm. It pops up there, but we just kind of wanted to touch base on all these fun things.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up.
You're welcome. Who knows where it'll end up? Tim might cut it off. We don't know.
He does control us in so much as we can be controlled.
So this first...
he's making wicked villain hands.
I know he is. It's pretty funny.
He's twirling his mustache.
So this story comes from a group member. Her name is Erin. All of the stories that we are including today, we have been given permission to use on the pod. And in some cases, names are changed.
We definitely are going to leave off the last names for everybody. We'll just do first names.
And then we will tag everybody in the group.
Yeah.
So that they know that they can hear the
story. This one is... You were saying was also a callback to a previous pod that we did a couple weeks ago, which was all about infomercials.
Yes.
And I think we forgot this because we were laughing so hard about Madonna's jacket.
Yes. And the desperately seeking Susan jacket. And the fact that the 1-800 line now goes to Life Alert.
It goes to Life Alert,
which is
I was
brilliant.
Like, I still think that's one of the funniest things that has ever just rando happened.
Spontaneous,
really good. So so we forgot, we didn't add this into that one, even though it would have been a natural kind of flow. But hit us.
This one is about Corey Haim, which is amazing, and this sweet short little story comes from Erin. I was Corey Haim's stand-in on The Lost Boys. You know The Lost Boys.
You know The Lost Boys.
I was 19. He was 14. Sweet kid. The whole cast was awesome. It was fun coming to work every day. I also was an extra in about 10 different shows between 1986 and 1993.
My God, that is so cool.
Which is amazing.
So now I want to rewatch The Lost Boys.
Absolutely.
And I want to ask her specifically, like, what scenes?
Where were you?
Which one is you? Which one of these is your back?
Yes.
Right? Because like, it's the back of her head, like, a lot.
Yes. Well, it's like Cindy's story about being the godfather.
I know.
She and her sister were so little. It's like, where are you? Show us your picture.
Show us those pictures.
So cool.
Yeah, so fun.
So that was amazing. And then we have a ton. So I think maybe we're going to start with, we have a couple about Duran Duran. Oh, Duran. Which I think are just fantastic. And I thought would be so much closer. I'm going to hand this one off to you.
All right. So, Duran Duran. All right, so this is from Nancy. And she says, hey, I have a ton of stories of my days in radio and as an OG fangirl.
Mm-hmm.
So folks who work in radio typically get like, they get all the good stuff. You know, they really do. Like back in the day, the radio people, what?
They did.
They do.
No, I'm just like moving paper around and I could just hear Tim's face.
I can hear his face.
So the reality is we have to print these things, so we can read them and see them well. And
they're
it's a
in
lot
very
of
large print.
I have like sass with my phone because I did not pick this font size, but I am recognizing that paper shuffling and radio are not friends.
Not normally.
Continue.
Okay, so anyway, Sorry. So radio station, people who work in radio tend to have great stories. So this is going to be fun. Hey, I have a ton of stories from my days in radio and as an OG fangirl. I worked in radio for over 35 years and I got to meet and hang out with tons of famous people over the years. Some of my radio stories include having dinner with Duran Duran in private at the Palm in New York City. Damn. Let's talk
Amazing.
about that for a second. I brought my friend who's a total Duranie, and she got to sit right next to her crush, John Taylor, who proceeded to offer her friend her fried calamari, and she ate it without even thinking. This is actually funny because she hates calamari, but she said, when John Taylor offers you calamari, you eat calamari.
Hell yes, you do.
I remember sitting there looking around the table at all the guys in the band, and my friend and I proceeded to drink multiple bottles of wine because we couldn't believe it was really happening, and ended up at Mars 2112 for their album release party. I think for their Astronaut album in 2004.
So freaking cool.
I was so drunk by then that I barely remember that part, and I threw up the minute I got home. But damn, that was a hell of a night. Like I said, I have tons of stories of celebrity encounters, so if you ever want to use me as a regular for segments on your pod, I'm your girl.
Heck yes, you are.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
In fact, Nancy, please reach out to us again. We are going to need some more stories.
Such a great story.
We could actually probably have her on and just do like a little pod segment where we just chit chat with you. That'd be really fun. She says she's also a GenX Women's life coach, and she helps women get unstuck by unstucking their lives. So that's kind of fun too.
Yeah,
so,
that's cool.
But yeah, so thank you, Nancy. That is so awesome, and appreciate like your Duran Duran. My husband is like a massive Duran Duran fan.
Get out.
He is going to be uber jealous about this.
What is so cool?
I think maybe he'd probably eat the calamari.
I'm sure.
Like,
does he
okay,
like
John
calamari?
Taylor. Okay, whatever you're saying. No,
Like,
he doesn't. He's not normally a calamari guy.
Not normally.
But I think if John Taylor, you eat the calamari.
Absolutely. You don't want to look like a jackass sitting at the table. And hey, free calamari. I'm assuming they weren't like.
I hope they didn't have to pay for their calamari.
Here's your bill.
You had 15 bottles of wine and a big bag of calamari.
There you go. That's your night. So we know that Duran Duran is a big deal because out of this, 15-ish stories that we have for today, there were 2 about Duran Duran. And this story comes from Elizabeth, who is in the group. In July 1987, I went to the Strange Behavior Duran Duran tour in my hometown. I was 15. Props. I think I was 15 when I went to my first concert. Since I am Gen X, my dad dropped me off downtown without a cell phone because that wasn't a thing and said he would get me later. It was the most amazing show I have ever been to. They sang all the hits, including my favorite song, Wild Boys. Can hear it playing in my head right now. The next day in the newspaper, the local reviewer read the band for filth, saying it was one of the worst concerts he'd ever been to. Apparently, I was sick of people's shit even at the age of 15. I wrote an op-ed to the newspaper. Fuck yes, you did.
Good on you.
Talking all about how fans of the band knew the performance was perfect. I expressed that the paper should only have fans review concerts because this guy who reviewed the show was obviously whack. It was printed. I instantly became the band's greatest fan, at least in my own eyes.
Yes, you are. And I bet you that if you reached out to Duran Duran and you told them that story, I like to think that they would also agree that you were the biggest fan.
Absolutely.
That is badass,
Mad
Elizabeth.
props. Fucking love that.
No shit.
Way to go, Elizabeth. Use your voice.
No kidding.
Speak up. And we all know reviewers and critics suck.
Yeah. Way to yuck someone's yum.
Absolutely. And they
Bullshit.
were yucking Duran Duran.
You don't yuck Duran Duran.
You don't want to yuck Duran Duran.
Calamari or not.
I guess we could stay kind of like on the music train a little bit. This story you forwarded to me. It is from, oh my goodness, I don't see her name.
Elena?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
There it is. And I thought it was great, especially in light of an earlier story that we talked about on a different episode of the podcast. I don't remember which episode, but it is the one where I unburdened myself of the tale of being pissed off that I lost my poison thong after the concert.
Which, by the way, I have created a thong in the GenX Women Are Sick of This Shit Etsy store for you.
It's my favorite. I haven't ordered it yet. It is magnificent.
It's just for you.
So if you need a Gen X Women Are Sick of This Shit thong, we have you covered.
Well,
a tiny
triangle of you covered.
And
your ass cheeks though are
thongs.
not.
No age. Anybody can wear them.
Yes, hell yeah.
Put that shit on. Hell fucking
strut
yes.
your shit around your house.
And that is the segue that we all need to this next 5 minutes of fame story.
All right. So this comes from Elena. Elena says her sister is also in the group. Daniela is also in the group. So she's got her sister, both the sisters are in there. She said it was the early 90s. I was in high school, and our father designed and built our house in the San Fernando Valley part of Los Angeles.
Hell yeah.
It was a really nice 5-bedroom, and we loved it. She finally had her own room, so she didn't have to share a room, I guess, with her sister. That's kind of the thing.
That was just so the standard in the 80s. I think every 80s movie, there were like 12 siblings in each room.
It felt like it.
And
Bunk
if you
beds.
had your own room, you only got your own room because you were like finally the oldest teenager in the family.
Right. They redid the attic for you and you got the attic room.
Yes. But if the grandparents visited, you were on the fucking couch.
Yep, exactly. So she says a really nice 5-bedroom house, had her own room. A family friend made awesome black and white curtains for my room, which I designed. My dad eventually put our house on the market and told us Michael Bivins was interested in the house. My sister and I freaked out. My mom played Poison through the house intercom and we all sang it. So one evening I was sitting on my bed in my PJs doing my homework and my dad suddenly walks in with Mr. Bivins. No warning, no heads up. I must have had the weirdest shock look on my face. I loved New Edition and I was in my PJs. My dad introduces me to him like I didn't know who he was. Way to go, Dad. And he says, "Hello, nice to meet you. Awesome curtains. And I love your stickers." She says, I had an abolish apartheid bumper sticker on my wall. They walked out. I about died. He visited again and my family took pictures with him in our driveway. He wound up buying our house and later remodeled it, turned the tennis court in the backyard into a basketball court, which was later featured on Yo MTV Raps.
This is one famous fucking house.
It's really fun.
That is an incredible story. But first, how freaking cool. Your dad designed and built your house.
No shit.
That's
Second,
epic.
Your mom was badass enough to play Poison on the intercom.
Was.
Also, you had an intercom system in your house.
You were the coolest kid
I
in school.
remember those so well. I never had one.
Nope. Oh, no.
You know, my house,
me neither.
We never had a house that had one, but I remember going to friends' houses that had them.
Yes.
And thought like, what the hell? You could like yell at somebody if
super
they're
rich.
Yeah,
you were
on the pooper.
In my brain.
You know?
So rich.
Right.
You have an intercom system in your house.
That's right.
You could just torture every single family member.
And using it for good, right? Playing Poison really loud on the intercom system.
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yep. And that the fact that your house was on Yo MTV Raps. That's pretty cool.
Also badass.
Yeah.
So these two, the 3 stories that we shared, Duran Duran and then Poison, make me think of, actually, we had like 3 calls that were all about music, but I'm thinking maybe we should play one now.
Yeah, let's do it.
There is one story in particular that I think is so good from Heather.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Heather.
And do you remember enough to like set this one up or should we just let her tell her own
I think
story?
Heather was working as a waitress, if I'm not mistaken. And a famous person was in town.
Yes.
And we'll let Heather tell her story.
Hi, ladies. My name is Heather, and I absolutely love everything you're doing. Thank you so much for all of it. My 5-minute of fame story goes as such. When I was in my mid-20s, I was finishing up art school in Philadelphia, and I had a job as a waitress, which I was terrible at, by the way, at a place called Duck Street Bar and Grill, which was about a block away from the Four Seasons in Philadelphia. And it was a Sunday afternoon, which were like the deadest shift ever. And so we're just kind of like hanging around, and somebody finally comes up and goes, "Hey, you have a table." So I go over, and I'm, going through the beer list and like the specials and everything, and looking at this woman going like, "Wow, you look really familiar." And she's giving me her order. She's with a couple of friends. She's giving me her order. She says, "Can I please have a glass of water without ice so that it's room temperature?" And she's like, "And I'll also have a glass of champagne." And then the others like ordered their drinks, and I'm like sitting there, and I look at her and I say, I'm sorry, has anyone ever told you that you look exactly like Tori Amos?" And she just kind of smiles very naturally and says, "Yeah, people have told me that." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "I'll be right back with your drinks." And I'm walking away back to the bar to order the drinks, and I'm like, holy shit, it's her. And I'm like having a moment because she is like one of like my like idol artists, right? Like so much influence on me as a teenager. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So anyway, I get the drinks, I bring them back, and she's like, "Thank you so much." She's like, it's important with the water for the vocal cords, and so like confirming, because she probably heard me screaming in the kitchen. So after she tells me that the warm water was for the vocal cords, and I just compliment her and tell her how much she meant to me as a teenager and I love her music so much, she says, "Well, we have a concert this evening." And I said, "Well, it's sold out pretty fast." She's like, "Well, I guess it's your lucky night." And I'm like, "How's that?" And she's like, "I'll put you on my guest list, you and a +1. And I'm like, oh my God, like, thank you so much. And then there was also a joke in there about me making fun of her about the warm water, also coupled with the champagne, which I gave her a hard time for like probably not being good for her voice. So anyway, we had some banter. She put me on her personal guest list. I immediately ran to the phone and called my roommate, who was also a waitress, and I said, "Get cut now." And she's like, "I just got cut. What's up?" I'm like, "We have free tickets. We're on the guest list for Tori Amos tonight." I'm like, "Get home. Let's get changed and let's go." And then we get there, and that was a pretty awesome experience to be like on the short line for her. And then she played waitress, which I totally thought was for me, of course.
Absolutely.
Of course it was.
Hell yeah, it was.
So that's my story. Thanks for listening.
That is so good. So good.
So what I love, I think, the most about that story is that there is no video or photographic evidence anywhere.
No. Probably. Well, she may have photos, but
she might have taken a picture that night,
but probably not at the restaurant.
But nobody was shooting video of Tori Amos on their cell phone at that restaurant. She's just doing her job. People were just out being human beings, living their lives, and these are the kinds of encounters that are just quintessentially like 5 minutes of fame stories.
Yep.
We're just out.
Well, and her restaurant that she was at is so perfectly situated to like probably getting a lot of famous people in the door. My guess is, right? Like it's right down the street from the Four Seasons, where a lot of presumably a lot of the celebs would have been hanging out before a show or staying at. So I'll give you a real quick little one.
Sure.
So I worked at the mall, at a Mr. Bulky's, which, do you remember Mr. Bulky's?
No, what is
Mr. Bulky's was a bulk candy store.
Okay.
And
that is a really choice name.
Something you can't do now because people like are germy and gross, and like you can't just open up bins and like take big scoops of candy out and like think that it's not covered in germs. But back in the day, back in the 80s, I guess we didn't.
Oh, like that. Unwrapped candy.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
got you.
like gobstoppers and all that stuff. Right.
Just go grab a handful.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Chocolate covered peanuts.
We also ate a lot of dirt. I mean, it was We were probably really strong then. We had
Built
really
up our immune system. But the mall that I was at was pretty close to where it was the closest mall to our big outdoor stadium.
Okay.
So Deer Creek is what it was back in the day.
Mhm.
And so celebs would stay and the artists would stay at the Omni Hotel, which was kind of pretty close to the mall. And then just to kill time, I guess, they would go to the mall. And so so I'll tell you one of my stories now, but I've got more about Mr. Bulky's.
I'm so excited.
But I was the third key at that particular Mr. Bulky's location.
Working your way up.
I was going up the chain of command.
Yes, you were.
Yeah, I was given responsibility. There were two gals that were working with me on this particular evening, and I didn't have any idea who these guys were, like no idea. And I get talking to one of the guys, and he's like, "Hey, so I've got a show tonight. Do you want to come to the show?" And I'm like, "I have no idea who you are. I do not know who you are at all." And I was like, "Well, I actually have to close, so I probably can't do that." And these two girls that were working with me were freaking the fuck out. And I go in the back room and they're like, "What are you doing? You have got to go to the show with this. It's the lead singer for Extreme."
Oh God.
And I'm like, "I don't know who that is. I'm not going to go to a concert to listen to, I don't know who this guy is." But he wanted me to go see his show.
He wanted to go. You were hot.
I guess I was hot.
He wanted to date. This is the More Than Words guy,
yes,
right?
Right.
This song,
Yeah.
More Than Words.
Yep.
Which I thought was so deadly romantic in high school.
I had to go home
and
watch MTV until that video came on, so I even knew what that was, because they were like, "No, it's Extreme. You have to check it out."
That's
so I turned him
magnificent.
down.
That is okay. That is okay.
Anyway, that's
just an epic story.
Sometimes when people are, geographically blessed in a location, they get the opportunity to meet some famous people.
And famous people are just people.
They're just people.
They want their Mr. Bulkies.
Yes, they do. Oh, I have so many stories.
We
have lots of famous people walking there. I'll tell you another one later.
Just about Mr. Bulkies.
I'll tell you another one later. But yeah.
And other stories of the 80s.
But this is about other people's stories.
This is about other people's stories.
Wackadoo. Yeah.
Perhaps we should just share. We have a couple of just kind of star related.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Tales. And you can kind of see the headlines here. We have ones that we can pick. You want to read that one? I thought you might like it. This one's pretty good.
Hell yeah.
It's
okay.
From Christy.
So this is from Christy. And Christy says it looks like she's got a couple here.
Yes.
All right. So story number one. And I love how she writes this, because she's clearly setting the stage. Right?
Yes,
she
which
says,
I appreciate.
Vegas in my mid-20s, 1991 or so. I was sitting near the front at a Joan Rivers show. She pulled me up on stage with her, then pinched my ass and called me a skinny little bitch. Because back then I was. So good.
And that was just normal Joan Rivers.
Yes.
She would have such a brilliant comedian.
Yes. She absolutely, I could picture this happening.
And I can hear her.
Mm-hmm.
Skinny little bitch.
Skinny little bitch.
She doesn't sound like that at all, but that's
kind of
pretty
a little,
good.
It was a little, she had a gruffer voice, didn't she?
Yes, she did. But I sounded so aggressive.
Skinny. You did hella aggressive.
Skinny little bitch. No, it wasn't like that, but I hope she will laugh at this and not roll over in her grave. Story 2. Tell me all about it.
Story 2. Senior year of high school, 1984. Again, setting the stage. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Anna Motion concert. Remember them? The one-hit wonder Obsession. You heard Obsession?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yep, okay.
Thank you for pulling that up.
You're welcome.
From the vaults.
From the vaults of my mind.
Yes.
I was recovering from a hernia operation, but my friends still thought it was a great idea to crowd surf me over everyone's heads and dump me onto the stage.
Well, of course they did.
Wow.
But they wouldn't be friends if they didn't.
Right. Because friends crowd surf friends.
Mm-hmm.
As I was doubling over in pain, I grabbed the lead singer's gray wife beater tank top and ended up accidentally ripping it. Security threw me off the stage, but I still have the piece of his tank top that ended up in my hand.
I hope that it's
so
framed.
Question that I actually have for Christy. Why was anybody crowd surfing at an Animotion concert?
Inquiring minds.
I feel like that might have been
wow. I didn't even think about that.
like
We want to know more.
it just doesn't seem like it jives. But I'm not questioning whether it happened. I'm just saying, like, I can't imagine
What prompted
why
the
there was
surfing
crowd surfing
of the crowd.
It's a good song though, so maybe it just made people really excited, and they decided to throw you in the air and
Like they
toss
just
you
don't
on the stage.
They absolutely did not care. They threw you in the air and did not care. So if we tag you, I can't stop now. It's just if we tag you in the Facebook group, there you go.
mhm.
Found those words. Tell us more because we want to know.
Yes, I want to know more
We'll let you know that
for sure.
your story is getting ready to happen in the world.
What else you got?
Oh, we have another story. This one is from dun 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 paper flipping Jody.
Jody.
And Jody is sharing an experience that she had with a semi-famous person. No, it was a really famous person. Jody was in the Whitney Houston video for her song All the Man That I Need back in 1990.
That's cool.
No joke. A group of us from my college choir got to sing with Whitney at the end. Oh, that
Cool.
is so amazing. The camera flashes on me at the 2-minute 57-second mark. We're going to go track her down.
Yes, we are.
And at 3 minutes and 10 seconds, blink and you will miss them. I can email you a screenshot from the video if you wish.
Oh my God, yes, please.
That is so
post
good.
that
I'm
when
so
we-
sorry. I didn't read all the way to the very last sentence until this moment.
Well, when we share this, when we talk about this particular podcast and we tag everybody in the group,
Yes.
Jody, please in the comments drop that in there. That would be amazing.
That is so cool. And we are going to track you down as soon as we are done recording today so that we can watch you. What a neat experience.
Yeah, very
I'm
fun.
wondering how many people had sort of college performing arts, dance, choir related things where you got called up to go and work with.
or
like a
even
famous
being
person.
an extra in a movie.
Yes.
That kind of stuff.
All these neat
Super
little
fun.
stories. And just imagine you had gone to a fictional yet pivotal performing arts high school.
Yeah.
How many people you would have met. In fact, Megan, I have a story
Oh no.
about
Okay.
said fictional performing arts high
Oh
school,
my goodness. All right.
which I remember watching this TV show
Fame.
all the time because we're going to live forever and we're going to learn how to fly. Hi. Uh-huh.
All right, cool. So this is from Patty. And Patty says, working at a department store just outside of Minneapolis in 1985, the kids from Fame, the TV show, came on some anti-drug tour, even though Jesse Borrego,
I think that's great.
Borrego.
The way you said it's awesome.
Borrego was a total drug fiend.
Mhm.
But he was doing his anti-drug. He probably
Yeah.
got busted and had to. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
It was a punitive anti-drug tour.
Sometimes they were made to go do things.
Well, that
when
would have
they got
been
in
out of
trouble.
the don't just say no campaign of the 80s.
Yeah,
I mean,
hey Jesse, here's the deal: you can either go to jail or you can go on
You can
tour
go on
and tell
tour.
kids not to do drugs. So I asked one of the crew what the kids, who were all adults, would be doing that night, and he said, "Where would you go if you were from out of town?"
Mhm.
Not as a question, but as a suggestion. Oh my God, they were going to First Avenue. So Purple Rain had come out the year before. My birthday was the next day, and when I was when I was going to turn 19, old enough to go to bars then. Do you think I could find someone to go downtown with me to First Avenue at midnight? Negatory.
bullshit.
That sucks.
It was the 80s.
It was the 80s.
It was the
85?
80s. You should have been allowed to go anywhere you wanted.
You just take off and go.
You just sneak out
And
the
I
house.
bet you if she could go back in time, Patty would be like, fuck it.
She would be fuck it.
I'm going. I'm gonna go hang out with the guys from Fame.
I loved that freaking show. I think legitimately thought that my career as an acting student would look just like that.
So Fame, remind me. I guess I thought it was all dance, but it wasn't. Is that right? Was it more Jul-Aug like a high school Jul-Aug?
Oh, now we're gonna go down. Yeah, kind of like that.
Okay,
and it was all performing arts.
Okay.
I don't remember any plot lines. I just remember the fashion.
Okay. Probably leg warmers.
There
involved.
was lots of leg warmers.
Mm-hmm.
But
because cold legs are no bueno.
Right? Have I made something up now? Which is entirely possible. This is right. It is about the performing arts high school, isn't it?
The TV show centered around students at New York's famous high school for performing arts as they pour their hearts and souls into training to become stars in their chosen field.
Yes. And Felicia, her last name, she was one of the teachers. Dance is a big part of it, if I'm remembering correctly. But the bigger point is, I just thought that was really what it was going to be like when I went to high school and took acting classes.
It was going to be like that.
Absolutely.
I think it's interesting. Of course, dance was going to be a big part of it because from a TV production kind of standpoint, it would be much easier to show people dancing, than it would be to show them acting.
Yes. That would, because right. That would be pretty meta.
Right.
We're acting. And there was a musical version of it that we actually did in high school. Fun story
of the TV
show. Because the core cast. Oh gosh, this is all coming back. So, but fun fact for me, I auditioned for that. It was probably the biggest cast of any musical that my high school ever did. We talked about this earlier. Went to big ass fucking high school. Thousands of people. Guess who did not even get cast as an extra?
Bullshit.
That'd be me, because I couldn't learn the dance steps fast enough.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I had taken years of dance, but I needed more than 5 seconds. So I don't know. I can't remember what I ended up working on.
I didn't take any dance. I would have fallen all over myself. I was not.
It was a big group dance audition.
A triple threat by any stretch.
No.
I was barely a single threat.
So I think probably I went out for that as a sophomore too. I was baby actor at that point, and just knew that, the musicals weren't generally my jam. I usually did the straight plays and not the musicals. I ended up working on the show somehow, but I don't remember. But it was just
but that's cool that was because I think we did Our Town and stuff like that. We did oh shit, the one that's the knockoff of Shakespeare. The musical with Maria and oh my God,
West Side Story.
That one. Thank you.
Jeez. So many things are knockoffs of Shakespeare, which are just knockoffs.
That's why I had to give you Maria, because I was it's got to be all I could do. There
we go. I've lost the thread, and I've lost my piece of paper with the calls on it, but I know that I absolutely want to transition. How I've lost that piece of paper just sitting here, I don't know exactly.
At your feet down there?
Potentially. Let's go look. Okay, here we go. Walking down the street, get the funniest looks from
everyone we meet. Hey, with the monkeys. People say we monkey around. We're too busy singing to put anybody down.
Oh, God. We did it. Almost lasted on that last sentence. My brother used to listen to that tape obsessively.
Lots of monkeys.
He loved it. And guess what I found? My piece of paper with our phone calls.
Piece of paper.
Let's stick with our music theme in this moment.
Oh, yeah. And hear about Heidi.
We got a great call from Heidi, who is a group member, who recently had piped up, and she's like, "Hey, did you get my call?" And we were like, "Yes, we're just really slow."
We are slow. Sorry.
And Heidi had an amazing story about striking up an unlikely friendship with someone who is touring this summer
right now,
who was also a part of my high school career, but not for good reasons. And I've already talked about that. It's fine. Loved the band. just had a bummer of a show.
Yeah.
One year. But Heidi has had an amazing
She
experience.
had a good experience.
So cool. Let's hear from
Hi,
Heidi.
my name is Heidi. So thanks for the opportunity. I've never really shared my story publicly, but in 2006, I did have a magical moment in time, a teenage dream come true, and fate led me to meet Perry Farrell. I got kicked out of the House of Blues in Cleveland, Ohio, for lighting up a joint and passing it to Perry. And him and I were passing it back and forth. I got kicked out. Long story short, a friend of mine that I just met through MySpace, who was a big Perry fan, happened to know Perry through helping out with some websites and message board places. He saw me getting kicked out and talked to Perry after the show. Perry was really bummed out and told Mike that I was invited to any show of his in the future. So Mike and I from
So cool.
MySpace became quick buddies. I started helping out on a Jane's Addiction and Perry Farrell fan page. And I just became really close with Perry and family and the band members, helping out on the message boards, and just became really close with them. I have lots of pictures, lots of other stories about that, but pretty much that's my story. I'm 49, Gen X all the way.
That's so cool.
Thank you, Heidi.
Oh my God.
That's a great story.
That's so cool. I mean, I love that he recognized that you got the shaft. And
right? They weren't going to kick him out.
No.
He was the lead singer of the band.
Right. Right.
So that's pretty cool. And just to hear, like, people doing good, kind things,
Oh,
like,
that's
to
so
support
fun.
their
And I love that
fans.
you stayed, like, kind of in touch with his family and him. That's so
Absolutely.
cool.
And two things that are so, like, very, like, Gen X, early social media, MySpace and
Right.
message boards.
Right? MySpace and message boards.
Holy moly.
How many of us still have photos somewhere on MySpace and can't remember our logins, and they've probably got, like, photos of all of us from, like, the mid-90s.
I'm sure many
Like,
people.
So many.
I am sure many people. I think that
I gotta figure out how to get back in that.
the MySpace to Facebook transition, when that happened, I had the wherewithal to, like, totally delete everything that had been on MySpace. It was like, I don't remember why. It doesn't matter. So I don't think I have that, but who knows?
Yeah.
And then how would they find me? I don't know.
I don't
Do you
know.
think you're
I think
out
it's still there. I think yeah, I'm pretty sure I've got, like, all kinds of amazing photos and stuff that I gotta go find it.
That's such a great story.
That is so
Heidi.
cool.
Thank
I
you
love that
for
he's
calling
cool,
that
too.
in. Yes, that he was so cool to her. That's freaking phenomenal. I think you had. What do we want to do? You want to read one? We have a couple more calls.
Sure.
That we need to do.
So let's see. All right, so here's one for you, Lesley.
Love it.
It comes from a gal named Valerie from the group.
Yes.
And Valerie says, this is just a really shorty,
Yes.
but
Love
she
it.
says, this is a 5 minutes of fame celeb encounter story. I'm just writing a summary, but will gladly share more. So we may have to ask for more.
Absolutely.
She says, I was on a day-long snorkeling excursion catamaran with Yasmin Bleeth in San Juan in the 90s. I could tell stories, none of them flattering. That is it. So, of course, like, anytime I hear Yasmin Bleeth, I immediately go back to that Friends episode where, oh no, that was different. Shoot. Yeah, no, they talk about Yasmin Bleeth a lot on Friends. Yeah, like Joey and Chandler were like big
That's
Yasmin
epic.
Bleeth fans.
I love that one.
But that's, yeah. So I suspect that there is a lot more that she could go into detail with about. All right, let's do. Oh, here's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Let's do this. We got the music, and then we got like another good music call that we'll put
Okay.
into.
All
This
right.
is so good.
So this one comes from Anne, and Anne is in the group as well. And Anne says, "Watch your toes. I'm gonna drop some names." She said, "I had a teeny tiny conversation with Kurt Cobain in 1988.
Yes, you did.
Nirvana was playing at the Garage Parish 23 in downtown Denver. I used to babysit for Barona and John Robinson. He was the lead singer of The Fluid, and they would pay me in t-shirts and put my name on the guest list. And a lot of times I got to meet some of the bands." She says, "I met Mark Arm, and he was from Mudhoney, and he was a goddamn delight."
Oh, that's so cool.
She said The Fluid opened for Nirvana that night, so my roommate and I went to the show. My roommate Rebecca had an immediate crush on Kurt and was trying to chat him up all night. It didn't work. Oh well. So Kurt and John were sitting at the edge of the stage after the show and went up and asked Kurt, "Hey, did you see where Rebecca went?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, she went that way," pointing towards the bathrooms. And I said, "Oh, cool. Thanks, Kurt." And that's my story. Not too exciting at the time, and I had no idea then where grunge was going, but I got to impress my niece and my nephew with this story.
Total street cred.
Total
Well
street
freaking
cred.
done. That's
Really
just
good.
epic. I love that tale. Because, like, we're all just people
We're
hanging
all just
out,
people.
and we all start somewhere.
Yep.
I mean, we weren't just like born. Well, I guess some people are kind of born famous. If your parents are famous,
Yeah,
you
oh,
go
yeah.
to- But we're not just born like everybody knowing who we are. You're just hanging out, playing a show,
I'm looking at you, Gwyneth Paltrow.
directing people to the bathroom.
You were born famous.
We could go so many directions now, but might get us in trouble. I don't know. We're gonna leave that alone.
Dropping it like it hot.
Talk about some bad boys. I have a
Oh, yeah.
quick. It's just we're gonna save ourselves. We have a quick story about a bad boy of the American film scene at some point in history, particularly in the 90s. This story comes from Letitia. Once when I was visiting LA, we went to breakfast and we were seated at a table next to Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob.
It was about 9 a.m. He was drinking wine and talking.
Oh, my Lord.
Like you do. My friend dared me to lean back towards his table and whisper, "Fuck me, Santa." Or "fuck me, Santa" is probably what she was saying. I didn't want to disturb his meeting, so instead I wrote it on a napkin. When we got up to leave, I leaned back and put the napkin on his table with the words, "Fuck me, Santa," facing up right next to his wine glass. We bolted out of there lickety-split.
So she doesn't know.
Nope. But
doesn't
somehow,
know.
I feel like Billy Bob Thornton would have said, "Where is this person?"
I think that is awesome. And not disturbing him is always a good thing.
Totally
right?
polite.
Like very polite.
I mean,
but
he
also,
was winding it up at 9 a.m.
right. But also that little like, I know who you are. I
Uh-huh.
could have been a dick
Uh-huh.
and like interrupted you, but I wasn't. But also, this is fucking funny.
Yes.
And you're, yeah.
And I'm going to
Good
go
stuff.
like slide this across the table.
So good.
I know that you're sitting behind me.
And I'm being very chill.
Yes. This is me totally being chill at this moment.
Being so chill.
There are times when people are not chill, though. I
Yeah.
actually don't know if I'm setting this story up well. And we'll find out. I don't
We're
know
gonna
what's
find
going to happen. And sometimes one of those times might be when you happen to meet Metallica. I can't remember the setup for this story
I would
at all.
not be chill.
This story is from Leanne, who is in the group. Leanne, I apologize for the abysmal setup, but I know that your call is rad, and that's why it's on the list. Let's listen to Leanne.
Hey, my name is Leanne. In the 1980s, when Metallica was taken off, I had a friend who played guitar, and she got the in to the Button South down in Miami in Florida. And I got to meet Metallica, who I was absolutely obsessed with at the time. I went up to James Hetfield at the bar, and he was having a drink, and I just tapped him on the shoulder, and I said, "Hi, my name's Leanne." I really enjoy your music. You make my day, honestly. I'm so super forward looking forward to your concert. He turned around and he looked at me and to my face and said, yeah, you and everybody else. And I was absolutely, totally humiliated.
What?
And just then Kirk Hammett and Lars Ulrich from the band came from behind him and said, hey, don't worry about him. He's just a dick, especially when he drinks. And I ended up partying with those two for the rest of the night. They bought my friend and I drinks, and it was one of the best nights I've ever had, and the band was really cool, except for James. But that was my most embarrassing moment that ever happened. Very Gen X, and I appreciate you having me. Thank you, and love from Lauderdale by the Sea in Florida. Bye.
Oh, Leanne.
Okay, first off, Lars for the win.
Yes.
My heart knows that Lars is like,
Oh, and I'm so glad they like redeemed that experience for you.
Shit.
And they were like, not everybody was a dick. Stuff like that sucks.
Makes
I get
me
it.
mad that James did that though. That's
Stars
not
are
cool.
people too. They all have bad days, but like you gotta have a bad day on purpose all over somebody.
I don't know, that's bullshit.
And freaking cool. Like it still sounds like she really pulled it out.
It worked out pretty well. So hopefully you haven't carried that around and it didn't affect your love of Metallica
And
too
now
much.
you have a great story on 5 Minutes of Fame. So
no shit. Very cool. So take that.
That's what I
James.
have to say about that. Do you have anything in your pile? Because we've got like 2 or 3 more in my pile, but they're going to like kind of go in a different direction.
Sure. So here's one from Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
And Kelly says, in 1986, high school graduation year, my boyfriend was the singer for the band Queensryche.
What?
Jeff Tate. The album they were working on was Rage for Order, and I got to help with the group singing on one song titled Chemical Youth. No names are listed on the album for the participants, but we were called the Taiwan On Minions. I think Jeff's hair was almost as big as mine back then, but he went for the mohawk mullet style. That was quite a year and a lot of fun. Thankfully, no iPhones, but there are pictures somewhere in boxes.
I'm cheering for you.
No kidding. Can I tell you, we have
insane.
In this group, there are a lot of heavy metal fans.
Yes.
Like a
absolutely.
bunch. And when they find out that your boyfriend was Jeff Tate, you're probably going to get a lot of people wanting to have a conversation and also see those pictures in those boxes.
That is just so
cool.
Kick-ass.
Yep.
This makes me think of too, like, for anyone who has just commented on a 5 Minutes of Fame post that we put into the group, like, sadly, we don't have all of those collected. It would take a ton of time for us to like pull those out to share them. But if you are so inspired after this, we'll probably do another one of these like in 6 months or so, I would imagine. We always toss 5 Minutes of Fame into our longer episodes, but we had so many great ones. We wanted to do an episode that was just all about them, just to highlight group members.
Yeah, and keep sending these in too, because we will do more just episodes of these stories because they're so good. And this is a way for us to celebrate everybody who's in the group and just frankly celebrate Generation X women and all of the rad shit that we have done.
Absolutely. It's so freaking cool. So if you've done a story in the comments, send it in or call it in.
Oh my God, call them in. Like, we don't want to listen to ourselves talk. So if you can call them in, that's even better. Like,
yes.
We would love to be able to hear, the inflection in your voice when you tell your story, because it just is, it's even better.
Your own story. It's so good.
So let me give I'm going to give you two little ones from another member named Melissa too. And then you've got some more that are for recorded, right?
Yes.
All right. So Melissa says, hi, growing up in San Fernando Valley of Los Angeles makes me an original Valley girl.
Hell yeah.
For sure. And I have quite a few kooky experiences, much related to being around and in the entertainment industry, knowing famous folks, working in it, being in films and TV. So I bet she's got some stories. She had a couple of things come to mind that people have had fun hearing about. One is that she won on Singled Out in 1996. Do you remember that show?
Get Out of Town.
She says, while I was working for Disney Studios, I went into one of those cattle calls for fun since they needed 50 people per show. Somehow I won. I was really surprised when the people at work said they saw me on the show, as I never did see it myself. Long story short, I never went on the date, but I got good swag.
Yes, you
So
did.
that's cool. And then she also says that also in 1987 or 1988, she worked as a bartender at an under 21 nightclub in Pasadena
Yes. I love this
that was
story.
called Maryland's Back Street.
Hell yeah.
And Maryland's Back Street closed in the 1990s.
Mm.
She said, I sold soda and cigarettes, but I had been going there on Friday nights since 1985, since the manager was a family friend, and I met most of my boyfriends there. She said Friday was goth and alternative night, and Saturday was pop and disco, and we had so much fun dancing to all the new wave and alternative KROQ, that's the radio station music, out at the time. A few years ago, there was a reunion for the club, and the response was so huge that they had to get a larger venue. When I was introduced
that's
as
cool.
the bartender, it was a celebrity status response because all of the Gen X people there had such wonderful teen memories of the place.
That is so cool.
Very cool.
That's, I mean, just like the connections, the family history, family friend, being there for so long, selling soda and cigarettes.
Soda and cigarettes,
Because
baby.
you weren't old enough to sell booze
Right.
at the all ages club is pretty magnificent. I think
fun.
that is so great. I love these experiences of just like being in places where you could have run into or met lots of people.
Yeah.
We have one story that I'm going to say is from somebody named Grace. And Grace worked as an extra
Okay.
on a lot of films. So Grace was an actor and worked as an extra on a lot of movies. And is a background actor, has worked on almost every production that filmed in her state. And there are a group of Gen X friends. This is what Grace wrote in. And they do the background work for fun. So Grace just sent in a list
Okay.
of actors.
All right.
And I'm just going to read like a few of them where she added comments. The list is probably 50 actors long.
Oh, that's
which
awesome.
is just epic.
so cool.
Grace, I wish I could see like your iPhone roll
No
because
shit.
I'm sure that there are billions of photos that are so great. Tom Hanks, the nicest.
Oh, so she said he's
so
super
glad
nice.
to
Cool.
hear that. Yes. Stephen Dorff, never could remember his lines. Hysterical to me. Rosario Dawson with Cory Booker. Rosario was nice and helped my friend who passed out on set from heat exhaustion and then hired her as her personal chef.
Oh my God, that's cool.
Which is so amazing.
That's very cool.
And we were just watching Rosario Dawson last night, weren't we? In Haunted Mansion. And we were talking about Ahsoka.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
all
that's
those
good.
things. That's really amazing. Will Forte, worked on 2 different projects with him. He's very funny. Here we go. Frida Pinto, very sweet. Regina King. Did not talk to background actors at all.
Aw.
BJ Novak, I cut in front of him in the coffee line. He seemed displeased.
Oh, Juliana Moore. Meh. And very short.
Bob Odenkirk, the GOAT.
So Bob Odenkirk, my daughter who's now living in Brooklyn, she worked at a coffee shop and he came in all the time. Said he really is like absolutely a total delight.
Oh,
He's a
that is
very, very sweet guy.
awesome. So confirmation.
Yep,
Jonathan
yep.
Banks, another GOAT. Steven Kazada.
Total
Not a
dick.
goat.
Not a goat.
Total dick. Michael Mando, the sweetest. Patrick Fabian, also sweet. Best smiles. Rhea Seahorn, the number 2. This would be number 3 GOAT. Josh Brolin, nice, but looked old AF. I mean,
poor Josh. I mean, I feel it.
absolutely. This list is just amazing.
It's so fun. She says Millie Bobby Brown, adorable and giggly.
I
Love it.
adore that.
She's met Carol Burnett.
I know. It's so cool. Reba McEntire, exactly as you'd expect. Super friendly.
She met Ewan McGregor.
Yum. Josh Holloway, so hot still.
Oh,
Kristen
I
Stewart.
love it.
Tiny.
Ed Harris. Oh, Will Patton. My goodness, this is like the who's who.
I know.
Gerard Butler didn't realize it until after she met him.
Eva Longoria was very, very bitchy.
Oh, Kristen Stewart.
you know.
She's tiny.
I think that's great. It's just like
So
again,
fun.
a testament to like right place, right time, but also like the industry you happen to pick to work in and that kind of thing. So
really,
good.
really fun.
We're going to kind of transition. These last three are all sort of like loosely related to politics or political figures. And I think we're going to do a phone call right now.
Okay.
Call-in story that was from Emily. And for some context, she mentions Amy Carter, the daughter of
Jimmy Carter,
the late Jimmy Carter.
He's not
and
dead.
Rosalind Carter. No.
He's in hospice.
Is he?
He's still in hospice. He's not dead.
Is he still in hospice?
He's still in hospice.
Oh, okay. Jimmy Carter for the win.
He's not.
We may or may not edit that out. But the late Rosalind Carter, I know that's true.
She is sadly passed.
She has passed. Jimmy, still kicking. More context than you could ever possibly need.
Maybe not kicking as much anymore.
Breathing.
But breathing. He's still breathing.
Just play the call. Just play the call. It's fine. He can't. It's broken. We've broken producer Tim.
Hi, my name's Emily. I was
Thank
at
you, Emily.
Brown, and I was there when Amy Carter was there. My nickname is Amy, so when my friend Michael called out Amy, both of us turned. I didn't recognize her because she had colored her hair black.
As one does.
Mm-hmm.
They were on their way to Woodstock because they were going to meet up with Allen Ginsberg to rewrite the Constitution.
Oh my God. Wild.
I had a porta pipe, and they were using it. I named it Gunter. And it was her weed, my pipe. Super sweet girl. And we got really high. The other story is me getting my cigarette lit by Carrie Elwes at Nell's. It was a day after The Princess Bride premiered in New York, and we got into Nell's. I saw him there, like more gorgeous in person than ridiculously good looking. And it was a time when, it was cool to use matches. So he lit my cigarette, and I cupped his hand.
Oh.
The Dread Pirate Robert's hand. So there we go. Ta-da! And thank you. Proud to be a member, and I hope you enjoy my story. Have a good one.
So fantastic.
Emily, we love your story.
She got to hang out with Amy Carter.
And Carrie Elwes. The Dread Pirate Robert's hands.
I got to tell you, he's a pretty man. And he's actually aged pretty well, I think. He looks pretty good. He was in
we look awesome.
He was in we do. He was in Stranger Things.
He was in Stranger Things, and he does look good in Stranger Things.
He looks pretty good.
But he's not necessarily a good person in Stranger Things.
No.
So these last two, I think, are really neat. One is like a celebrity encounter, and one is just like a contribution to humanity. And I think they're pretty cool. And these are all sort of like in the political story collection. This story comes from Bonnie. Bonnie writes, I was an early grassroots donor to Barack Obama's campaign. Way to go, Bonnie.
Right
and
on.
was one of the first chosen to have lunch with him. That is all she included. I have so many questions.
No kidding.
What did you eat? What did Barack eat?
What did we talk about at this lunch?
Was Michelle there, or
Yeah.
was he just on the campaign trail with all of his handlers? Like, how did that go down? What
was there
the
any gray
conversation
in that
like?
hair at all? Because I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
Not
No,
back then.
not at that time, which I just think that is an amazing story.
That is so cool.
And I remember, I think that first campaign was one of the few times that someone running for president has come to Indiana.
Yeah, I went to that. Did you?
I did
the
too.
rally? Yeah.
Yes. Barack Obama was at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. It was muddy and wet and cold.
Oh, I didn't see him there. I saw him on
okay.
at the monument downtown. Like,
oh,
on the,
so
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
So I took my daughter out of school. She was little. Maybe she was allowed to be out of school. I think they were allowed to go to the rally, and they had made signs, and she had a sign, and there are pictures of us together, like at the rally. We got as close as we could. We were probably like right up on the rail, but we were sort of stage right quite a bit. And that was just a really cool day. Yeah. I had to hold her the entire time.
Oof.
She was not incredibly heavy, but it was a very long time
long
because it was just packed and we were all up there and she couldn't see, and so I wanted her to be able to see everything, and that was a really cool experience.
He was he still is. He's an amazing speaker, and his rallies were really, really good.
That was an exciting time. And this story I just found, it's a short one. It's so cool. And this member of our group wrote in and said, hey, I live in France now, but this is a story of something that happened when I lived in the States. You want to read it?
Sure, I'll read it. So her name is Lisa. And Lisa says, my story is I won an international award that I share with JFK and Harry S. Truman, and I am the only public sector person to have been given this award. There were 97 countries that submitted, and I won.
That's crazy.
I passed legislation and promoted the work share program to avoid layoffs in companies. We saved hundreds of thousands of jobs so far.
Hell yeah.
God damn. Good on you.
Gen X is pretty badass.
No kidding.
What an incredible honor.
Yeah,
and
that's huge.
That's just incredible. Freaking thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely thank you. And I love that you're living in France now, and I want to hear more about that.
I know. How do we make that happen?
Because we could do the podcast from your living room.
In France. Why not? We can go anywhere.
Just a suggestion.
So this was pretty fun. I think we did like maybe 20 stories today.
Yeah. Yeah. I love them. I think they're so much fun. You guys are full of amazing stories, and they run the gambit, right? They may be like earth-shattering, life-changing, huge stories, and then they're little dumb run-ins with people that are pretty fun.
Yes.
So
and 99.9% of our stories today were all from women, and it just popped into my head that we had one very brave member of the group.
Yeah, so we've got a member in the group. His name's David. So men are allowed in the group.
In the Facebook group.
In the Facebook group. In Love You Like a Sis, it's women only, but in the Facebook group, we do allow men in there. It's only it's less than 4% of our group are men. But David has been in the group for a really long time, and he's a great member. And he said, he actually submitted a story, and I think it's really fun to share it. He said that I once spent 20 minutes having a beer and a chat with Dexter Holland from Offspring at the Reading Festival in 1998.
That is cool.
That was really fun.
Thanks for sending that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. So please keep these stories coming. We love them. We want to share them. We want to tell your stories, and I hope you got a good laugh out of some of these, because I know I did.
Absolutely. It's just incredible, all the things that people in our group do. You have been listening to Gen X Women Are Sick of This Shit. Hey, Megan.
Hey, Leslie.
What do people do if they want to find us?
Well, we have a website that people can find us on, and that is genxwomenpod.com. We also have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram account as well. Mm-hmm. We have a YouTube account where we put YouTube shorts and other little tidbits up there. We have a TikTok account.
I don't talk the tick or tick the talk.
You don't tick the talk?
I do not.
I barely talk the tick, but I did put a TikTok up.
We're explaining the internet to people again.
That's
okay, though.
It's great.
We need to know how the internet works. Can people buy merch?
They absolutely can. We have a merch store on the website itself, and we also have an Etsy store, too. So they're just pretty easy to find. It's just Gen X Women on Etsy.
And if you are listening to this podcast, presumably you found it somewhere. And while you're there, give us a review.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
Throw some stars at us.
That'd be great. We'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
Ooh, 5.
Maybe 10.
And also make sure that you are hitting subscribe so that you're notified whenever a new episode drops.
Most important.
We also have a 5 minutes of fame that I think we should tell people about too.
Hell yes. We want to know your stories, your 5 minutes of fame stories. You can send those stories in on the website, or you can call 1-888-GenX-POD and leave your story for us, and we will play it live in our next episode. Or 2 or 3.
We'll listen to it on a little red phone just like Batman.
That'd be cool. Let's get a bat phone.
Bat phone.
I think that's it.
I think you're right.